Some people have bought their first property and that's it. That is the end of their story. Whereas someone else with the same income, with the same starting point, could end up with double the capital in 6, 7, 8 years' time. That means like 500,000 extra. And what made the difference? I can tell you it wasn't luck, it wasn't timing. And today we're talking about 4 quiet forces that has helped many families to move forward even when it was very uncomfortable. And I'm going to show you how this concept works through the story of a very close friend of mine who chose not to do anything with his property, and of course to compare that with the story of my clients who have been using this method to upgrade, and I've been using this same method myself. It allows us to upgrade without over leveraging and have a very strong holding power. I'm going to start off with the story of my friend first. A very close friend of mine. He bought a 5-room BTO in Tampines North years ago. Back then it was like less than 500,000, and today upon MOP, we all know that Tampines North 5-room flats are going well above 900,000. So you think that, wow, confirm, this guy, upgrade one. But of course, we sat down, I tried to convince him, make the move, but then he said, hey, after factor in the buyer stamp duty for upgrading, factor in the CPF refund, the accrued interest, pay off your agent fees and all that, saying that after upgrading, he's going to have less than 150,000. So we had a long chat in person, over the phone, and he's decided to stay. But he is a very disciplined guy. He has been topping up his CPF annually because he wants to claim the tax refund, the tax relief, and he has also been transferring his OA to his SA. Again, yeah, he shows me and all this, and to me, it's a very, very diligent effort to earn the 4% interest from CPF. So he's really planning for a strong, solid retirement through CPF, and I respect that. It is a very solid defensive plan, but it is not a plan that is building capital. While CPF pays you off 2.5 to 4% every year, your property values are compounding at a much different rate. Like him, he's facing this frustration because he feels that, okay, I bought my property early, okay, I've been paying off my loan, my house value almost doubled already, but by the time it's time to upgrade, he realized that it's not as easy as it feels. It's not enough cash for the down payment for the next house. His loan also not strong enough to support the type of property he wants. They assume they were on the ball. Then somehow they see their friends, their peers, their colleagues with the same starting point years ago. Today have already moved on to their second property. Some of them have even bought 2 properties, decoupled and all that. But then he feels that, well, how come they can, I cannot? So this creates a bit of tension. And I can tell you this tension is something I've seen many times amongst my clients. Like, for example, the husband wants more space, but the wife says, no lah, I'm comfortable with the environment, I'm comfortable with my neighbours, downstairs got shop, the kids' schools are all nearby, don't want to move. Then another household, one believes in the asset progression model, but the other party don't want to be exposed to such high loans, don't want to be working for so long. So there's a lot of tensions going on between clients, between couples also, right? Again, many people would think that I've been doing things right, so why does it feel like I'm falling behind? And that's the emotional toll of staying too long in your first property. Take note, I am a property agent, so you know what I do for a living. I sell and buy houses. I convince you to sell and buy houses with me. But let me be clear, this path of upgrading, flipping, reinvesting your funds into properties every 3 to 5 years, it's not for everyone. Like I said, my closest friends also reject the idea, and it's fine, because not everyone needs to maximize the levers to max levels, right? But today, if your goal is to be able to retire without relying on your kids, yes, I'm going there, and you want to create a buffer so that you don't become the next generation's, our children's generation's burden, then you have to do this with intention. You have to plan your upgrade with intention, your progression with intention. And for me, personally, okay, I'm very open that I'm a dual income, no kids household. So you would say that, Michael, you got it easy lah, you got no expenses, you have to think about children expenses, things like that. But I can tell you it's quite the opposite. It's even more stressful, like what I've shared with my wife many times. Because when we are older, we don't have the fallback of family support. We don't have to be able to depend on children. We don't have the next generation to lean on, which makes it tougher. And if we don't build right today, if I don't build my capital intentionally and early, I will be paying the price at a later stage. During retirement age, if we fall, financially we fall, no one is going to be there to catch us. So that's why I do this, not to chase riches and all that, but doing all of this to have a healthy retirement, to protect our future so that we can retire on our own terms, maybe retire earlier, like 50. This client that I met in 2019, actually the husband was my senior back in my NS days when I was serving as a NPCO in Geylang police station. We were in the same station but different teams, so we never spoke before at all, but he knew me, I knew him, and I bumped into him many years after I ORD, and then he said that hey, he's reaching MOP and he's in the market to explore new properties lah. And that's where this story really started, because back then he and his wife, they were earning around 8,000 combined income. They were hoping to be able to upgrade to a 4-bedder. They have 1 room, they got 2 boys, each will have their own room, and then they got a spare room for parents, for guests coming over and all that. And we checked out the 4-bedder in the area that they were interested in was going for 1.25 mil. They cannot afford. Back then they cannot afford lah. Couldn't qualify the loan, the down payments needed not enough, things like that. So we worked out according to what they had in terms of the CPF, in terms of the BTO profits that they're going to get upon selling their first house, as well as some small savings that they have. Eventually, they went for a 3-bedder resale in Pasir Ris for just $950,000. That resale 3-bedder, nothing fancy, you know, it's not a new launch, it's a resale unit, no investment, no nothing. It's just a unit that they fell in love with, and it was somehow became a solid step forward for them. Moving forward, 2025, we have sold that same 3-bedder for 1.48. Their outstanding loan was 600,000, so 1.48 minus 600,000, they had around 800,000 of capital in terms of cash and CPF. Okay, I can tell you this wasn't luck, this wasn't timing. They created a property cycle for themselves. They've moved on to the next cycle today. In between, they stayed very patient. They paid off their loan steadily, and then they've been saving. I can tell you that the market didn't carry them, they carried themselves. Because recently, having their 3rd child, they asked me to sit down with them to see whether they can they actually go for a 4-bedder today. And in 2025, the 4-bedder that they are interested in is now priced at 1.7. It's the same condo, alright, same layout-ish. So this property has moved from 1.25, and back then they couldn't afford. Today, 1.7 mil. This 1.7 finally is within their reach. Weird, 1.25 cannot afford, 1.7 can afford. And the best part, today, they didn't just pay the bare minimum of 25% down payment, no. They paid more down payment than needed. They didn't max out their loan, they kept their loan low because they want to manage their mortgage, they want to preserve cash flow, they want to have a bit of breathing room. So you see, they're really planning their steps. Today, I can tell you that they didn't just upgrade blindly, they're like literally, they're not just moving up, they're moving forward in progression, because they're doing it with flexibility, they're doing it with control, they're not overstretching. And that's what capital planners do. Okay, they build strong structures, so if a storm comes in, they are safe. That's what we want, safe upgrading. And what they went through is what I call the 4P capital building concept, inspired by my boss, Matt Lam. 4 P's. First P is promotion. When I first met them, earning around 8K combined income. Today, it has steadily increased over the years, and with the new income, they can more than afford the loan needed for 2 mil if they want to. Over the past few years, they've been building principal savings, whereby their 2,007 per month mortgage for the previous house wasn't just an expense. It was actually building equity in the house. P number 3 is their personal savings. Again, like I said, they have high incomes now. They are able to save handsomely every single month. Got bonus, can save even more. No bonus, go holiday, save a bit less. Consistently, they've been saving around $500 to $1,000 per month. Some people will say that's a lot, some people will say that's not a lot. Different households got different expenses, we respect that. Final P, and the most important P I feel would be the property appreciation, because the property that they purchased eventually has appreciated by 500,000 in value. Ooh. So all these 4 P's coming together has helped them purchase the 4-bedder that they once couldn't afford. If they had stretched themselves early and somehow borrow back still for the down payment needed for the 1.25 back in 2019, I can tell you that over the years, they would be living on edge. They would be looking checking their blind spot every single day, because it would just have been very stressful, because they were not ready for that yet. They lived in that house during COVID. Imagine it was that 1.25 mil property instead that they had purchased, because we all saw how incomes were insecure that period. It would have been very stressful. But instead, they saw property as a stepping stone, start small first, and today they can upgrade securely, safely. So let's change gears a little bit. I want to give you some context. Have you in the past 5 years had the opportunity to upgrade? Have you in the past 5 years saved $500,000? And then you say no because you don't want to pay higher mortgage, you don't want to pay buyer stamp duty 40-50,000, you don't want to pay agents fees like 20-30,000. I believe most people have not. And yet, today, the price of properties in Singapore has been climbing. That's the situation today that we are facing in 2025. It's a very real crossroads. We all know interest rates are high, but your CPF ordinary account interest is still stuck at 2.5 for decades. This while our cost of living has been increasing. So you see, a lot of things are going against us. And then today I can tell you that there's going to be a wave of HDB reaching their MOP in the next few years. 2026, 2027, you're going to see high supply of new BTOs trying to sell in the resale resale market, more competition, buyers will have more options. And then at the same time, we can see in the news that OCR and RCR condos have softened, but it hasn't crashed. Home prices today, they're not lower than 2022, they're much higher. They're 15-20% higher today. In fact, in 2021 alone, you can see that home prices jumped more than 10% in 1 year. That's crazy, yeah? And that leads to buyers today being very, very cautious. They are slow, calculated, they are waiting for something to happen, okay, because they can see that the global markets are uncertain. But then on the other side, sellers, they see that, hey, every single other month, my neighbor selling for record high. I also want to push record high. Then after that, the agent tells you that, hey brother, you cannot because buyers are calculative, cautious and all that. Then there's this imbalance, especially for sellers when they know that, okay, if I cannot sell my record price, then when I want to buy, I see everyone paying record price. So what's going on? It is a very weird imbalance that we're feeling in the market today. It feels like it's a buyer's market, but it's not, because prices are not dropping at all, slowly and steadily. And I can tell you this is by design. This is engineered by our policy makers, because throughout positive and negative markets, policymakers want to see no crash, they want to see no spike. Just slow, steady increase. But if you blink, this slow increase, you will miss the boat. Let me share with you this concept that many Singaporean households has been employing for the past many years. Back in 2018-2019, most of us would have been able to buy a 3-bedder at under 1 mil, 900, 1 mil range, and today being able to sell and cash out, like my client, around 800,000 capital. Step 2 is actually using this capital to upgrade to a 4-bedder or a 5-bedder if you can afford, or depending on your area, or you can deploy your own cash savings. And then by the time you exit this property in the next 6, 7, 8 years, don't so fast, 6, 7, 8 years, you will see that you'll probably have around million, 1.2 mil of capital to deploy for your final end game, potentially a landed, or you'll have enough funds between husband and wife to actually have 2-property household. And we do that sustainably. Don't jump so fast, okay? I mean, if you can afford, jump, but within comfort, within your threshold. And I can tell you, this stepping stone thing is not a fantasy. This concept is real families are employing right now. And I can tell you, many agents ourselves are using this stepping stone concept. So why aren't you? Okay. And again, like I said, this is the same path that has brought me from a 3-bedder to a 4-bedder, not because I was chasing, but because it was planned meticulously. I can tell you that holding power is there, it's strong, it's comfortable, and the key wasn't to strive for perfection and straight away go to my dream property. Slowly step one, okay? The biggest hurdle to overcome is actually starting your first upgrade. And I can tell you that those who moved, who did the upgrade early on, those who upgraded strategically without recklessness, they will tend to be the ones who are upgrading, progressing fast down the road. And I can tell you that's where a strong partner in a real estate agent comes into place to set the right parameters so that you don't overstretch while still being able to step out your comfort zone. That's the most important part. Finally, if you're not sure whether today is the right time for you to do the upgrade, of course you know what to do lah. Let us help you find the clarity in your current situation, and no pressure, just discussion first, grounded conversations, then after that you plan for yourself. So, we're done with this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.